irony. Irony is also what? Another type of figure of speech. What do we mean by the word irony? It is a literary style of saying something literally but with the sense of opposite in meaning. When you are trying to say something and what you are saying is actually opposite in meaning of what you actually mean, it is what we call irony. So now we have example. Kanu Nwankwo is a fat Nigerian player. Kanu Nwankwo is a what? Fat Nigerian player. So now that is what you are trying to say, but ironically you mean Kanu Nwankwo is what? Is not a fat Nigerian player. So now you are trying to what? Say something, but in an opposite way. Now it is a literary style of saying something literally, but with the sense of opposite in meaning. Now Kanu Nwankwo is a fat Nigerian player. When people hear that, that means what you are trying to say is not actually what you mean. It is what? The opposite in meaning. Everybody knows Kanu Nwankwo is not fat. But now, ironically, you are trying to say Kanu Nwankwo is what? A fat Nigerian player. So that is what is an example of what? Irony. Then the second one, the reckless driver drove himself to paradise. The reckless driver drove himself to paradise. When you say the reckless driver, that means someone who is not driving what? Carefully. Now, you are saying the person drove himself to what? Paradise. Opposite meaning of what you are trying to say. What at the end run of a reckless driver, what happens? It leads to what? To death. But now you are saying the reckless driver drove himself to what? Paradise. So now, the word what? The figure of speech irony is being used. Because it is a literary style, but saying something in an opposite form. Now you said Kanu Nwankwo is what? A fat Nigerian player. Opposite to what you mean. The reckless driver drove himself to paradise. Opposite. Then water everywhere, none any a drop to drink. Water. You're saying water is everywhere, but you're still saying you don't have a drop to drink. So now irony is being used. Now we have 3 examples of what irony again, and we have more examples of what irony. A fire station burns down. A fire station burns down. This is unexpected because one would assume the fire chief would keep his own building safe. Everybody will expect that what a fire station will have to what keep their building safe. But now you are trying to say a fire station burns down. That is irony. A marriage counselor files a divorce. You are counseling people for marriage, and now the counselor is what filing a what divorce. So now this is ironic because the expectation is that a professional who coaches couples through rough patches would herself have a strong marriage. And now ironically you are saying a marriage counselor files a divorce. Then the police station gets robbed. The police station gets robbed. How will the police station get robbed? Now, again, the expectation is that professional crime fighters would be able to help themselves. And now you're saying the police station gets robbed. In this case, by securing their own station. We are trying to say the police station gets robbed. So we have the figure of speech irony. A post on Facebook complaining how useless Facebook is. A post on Facebook complaining how useless Facebook is. This is ironic because one would expect someone who dislikes Facebook to stay away from it instead of using it to make their points. Now you are saying a post on Facebook complaining how useless Facebook is. Then a pilot has a fear of heights. A pilot now. We are saying a pilot is afraid of what? Going higher. This situation is ironic because airplane pilots spend most of their time at work, high in the air. So why would you say a pilot has a fear of height? That is ironic. The teacher fails the test. The teacher fails the test. That is ironic. Why is that statement ironic? Teachers are usually the ones giving tests rather than taking them. So most people assume they will be experts at passing tests. So that statement, the teacher fails the test, is ironic. A man who needs medical assistance is run over by the ambulance. A man who needs medical assistance is run over by the ambulance. In this case, the man got the exact opposite of what he needed from the medical help on the scene. A man is running towards to the ambulance and he got run over by what? That same ambulance. So now, in this case, the man got the exact opposite of what he needed for the medical help on the scene. So now, have you seen some examples of what irony used in sentence? So now, irony means what? The literary style of saying something literally in what? In the opposite meaning. Now we're going to move to the next figure of speech. We also have rhetorical question. It's also an example of what? Figure of speech. Rhetorical question means what? There are questions that does not need answers. There are questions from the speaker that does not need response or answers from the reader or audience. When this question, a rhetorical question, is one for which the questioner does not expect a direct answer. Example, is the Pope Catholic? When a question, the speaker says, is the Pope Catholic? So now, this questioner does not need what? Response from what? The audience or the reader. Then, do you want to be a failure for the rest of your life? Do you want to be a failure for the rest of your life? This is what? A rhetorical question. It does not need what? A direct answer. Who wants to be a failure? No one. So this kind of question does not need what? Direct answer. The speaker does not need what? A direct answer. The next one we have, does money grow on tree? That is a rhetorical question. There is no need of what? Direct answers. Then, which human being can withstand the wrath of God? Which human being can withstand the wrath of God? That is a rhetorical question and does not need what? Direct answers from the audience or the reader. Lastly, can fish swim? Can fish swim? That is a rhetorical question. It does not need what? A direct answer. Does bird fly? That is a rhetorical question that does not need what? An answer. Do people eat food to survive? All those are what? Rhetorical questions. And what are rhetorical questions? Rhetorical questions are the questions that does not need what? Direct answers. They do not need direct answers from the reader or the audience. And in our everyday life, people make use of what? Rhetorical questions. Questions that are absorbed. People make use of it every day. But now, those questions being used, they are what? They are rhetorical questions. So now, I hope today you're able to understand what we mean by a rhetorical question. Rhetorical questions are what? Questions directed towards the audience or the reader that does not need what? A direct answers. And I've listed some rhetorical questions we have. Is the Pope Catholic? Do you want to be a failure for the rest of your life? Does money grow on trees? Which human being can withstand the wrath of God? Can fish swim? Can bird fly? All those are examples of what? Rhetorical questions. And now we'll move to the next figure of speech.